So the real terrifying part for us addicts and codependents is asking for what we need. I'm standing in the shower, and isn't that where most ideas come from, right? And I feel like God impressed upon me or speaks to me and says, you spend so much time trying to control the things that you can't control that you miss the opportunity to control the things that you can. Now, it makes sense for us to try to control the things that we can't control because they're scary, right? Here's an example, right? Okay, Bob doesn't like me. Now, we can't necessarily control if Bob likes us or not. What we can control is how we respond to Bob. So maybe we can reach out to Bob and say, Bob, it just seems like there's something weird between us. Did I do something to offend you? But this is hard because the challenge for people like us that are in recovery, and if you are, then you get it, is we don't like conflict. And a lot of times we're afraid there will be deep loss with conflict. And that comes usually from our family of origin where it was not taught well. Conflict was not taught well, or we came to believe that our feelings weren't important, and that's not true. So how does all this line up with the Serenity prayer? Okay, I'm gonna tell you. So first we say, God, grant me the serenity to accept what I can't change. And if you've ever read the big book, here is my favorite part. And acceptance is the key to all of my problems today. When I am disturbed, it is because I find some person, place, thing, some situation in my life that is unacceptable to me. And I can find no serenity and no peace until I accept that person, place, thing, that situation is being exactly the way it needs to be. Nothing, absolutely nothing happens in God's world by mistake. I need to concentrate not so much on what needs to be changed in the world as on what needs to be changed in me and my attitudes. I paraphrased it a little bit, but you get the gist of it. See, when we focus on acceptance, we give up the fight and we stop trying to change the things that we can't. And a huge relief comes, and then gratitude can also come inside of us too. And gratitude is huge when it comes to eliminating resentments. And as you probably know, resentment, they say, is the #1 killer of addicts. Unresolved resentment, which basically is unforgiveness. So after we say, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I can't change, we say, and the courage to change the things that I can. And this is a big stumbling block for us addicts and alcoholics and things like that, because the reason we're focusing on the things that we can't change is because a lot of times the things that we know we can change seem terrifying to us. Hence the thing of, Bob likes me or Bob doesn't like me, or it may be asking that promotion instead of complaining, I just hate my job and this person did that and this person did that. By the way, that's actually trying to control things we can't. So we may not always act on it, but we're obsessing about it. It's the same thing. Obsessing about stuff is the same thing as trying to control what we can't control. And the reason this is so terrifying for us is, again, we're afraid because we were probably taught that our feelings don't matter, or we weren't even taught how to ask for what we need. So the real terrifying part for us addicts and codependents is asking for what we need, but we have to. So after we say, God, grant me the serenity to accept what I can't change, the courage to change what I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So we need to pray for wisdom to separate these two columns. Now listen to this. Most of the things that you're afraid that you can't change come down to the fear of people's reaction to you. So here's a great exercise for you. Get a piece of paper and write down all your fears, all these things that are ailing you, okay? Just write them all down, just get it out. And then if you want, you can make some columns and stuff like that, and start looking at what it is that you think that you can't change. Write down things, I have no control over this. I have no control over this. And then write down the things that you actually can do. No matter how terrifying it is, write it down, whether it's talking to your boss or calling your mom and telling her you're an alcoholic, right? That was it. I was like, I could never do that, not in a million years, but I wrote it down anyway. And about a year later, God gave me the courage to do it. So write it all down and then write down ways that you could change those things. And I promise you'll be empowered and encouraged by this exercise, and you will see that there are things that you can change. So many of us struggle, especially addicts and codependents, in this belief that we don't have power, that we have no power to change things, and that's not true. So let me ask you this: was anything I said here helpful to you, and have you tried these sorts of things before? I'd love to hear your comments. And don't forget, I'd love to connect with you too. Hit the subscribe button, and you can also find me at jodystevens.org or Genuine Life with Jody Stevens on Facebook. But I'd like to end with a Serenity prayer in its entirety because I think it's just beautiful and a lot of people don't know the whole thing. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as the pathway to peace, taking, as Jesus did, this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you in the next. So acceptance and courage, those are your keys for healing today. Use them and you will be successful. God bless you, and thanks for watching.